Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. I'll be your host this week, Hassan, joined as always by Tristan.
What up, Choom?
And, folks, Tristan has told me that this week we are talking about the greatest piece of media set in the far-off future, which, of course, folks, means we are here to talk about Cleopatra 2525. You just
not
that's like
quite.
a head shake, not a oh.
That's not quite what we're here about.
Okay, sorry. I think I'm gonna take it from the top. I realized the mistake.
Okay,
I made. Don't worry.
Thank you. I just put it back up. One second.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, great. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. I'll be your host this week, Hassan, joined as always by Tristan.
That's me, Choom.
And folks, as Tristan's told me, this week we're here to talk about the greatest piece of media set in our future. Dracula 3000 with Casper Van Diem.
God damn it, Hassan. What the hell is wrong? Dracula 3000 with Casper Van Diem? Nobody's watched that.
I've realized what you were getting. Wow, I'm embarrassed that I didn't realize what you were referring to. One more time from the top. I know what it is this time.
It's back on.
Just, gotta...
voice exercise.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. I'm your host this week, Hassan, joined as always by Tristan.
What up, Choom?
And folks, this week we are here to talk to you about the greatest piece of media in our technological future.
Yes.
Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. Tristan is finally fulfilling my wish of us talking about that.
There's no way. There's no way anybody cares about that. There's no way.
I care, babe.
You care about Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Watson's like a robot.
Watson had a robot body.
Into thinking it's Watson.
Watson had a robot body that was still somehow fat. Why'd they do that to him? Just because
for some reason only had
a fat guy.
He only had skin on the face. The rest of it was just regular robot body. Didn't
bother
to.
The bowler too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're here to talk about,
Poor
right?
Fucking Watson. God damn that show. Maybe someday I'll fulfill your dream about talking about Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century, but today is not that day, Hassan. Sorry.
I don't know what, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, most of the best things set in the future, they're from the past. The future is behind us now, right? So
okay.
2001: A Space Odyssey isn't in the future anymore, so it can't be that.
Okay. Well, the future is a relative term to describe what is yet to come. It's all speculation, really. The future is never really now. You can't do the future as now. The second you start making the future look like now, it is no longer the future, and therefore it is not. It's kind of like Elon Musk's Cybertruck.
Ugh. Do we have to talk about that?
Maybe a little bit.
Oh no. Not
necessarily as related to in any direct way to this, but in a sense, Elon Musk's Cybertruck, as it tries to be the future but now, is a reflection of what people want aesthetically the future to look like. Some people do anyway. I think they're
one
crazy.
Person,
one person
whose name is Elon Musk.
Yep. Oof, what a fucking maniac that guy is. Anyway, what we're here to talk about today, Hassan, is actually going to be Cyberpunk 2077. I'm just going back to old topics now every time. We are not going to escape the old topics from nostalgia rules my life now.
I'm sorry, what did you say the name of this was?
Cyberpunk 2077 in 2025.
Okay, so this is like a Cyber 6 sequel or something?
Cyberpunk 2077. No, it is not. Although
That's
I would kill
unfortunate.
for our Cyber 6 sequel. I would kill somebody
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Oh, easy. Yeah. Yeah. Like, if you want to give me more Cyber 6, I will do harm to a person for that.
I don't. That sounds more like a threat.
I mean, it's only a threat if it doesn't actually... It doesn't have to be a threat, Hassan. It doesn't have to be a threat.
I think it was.
It doesn't have to be. Anyway, Cyberpunk 2077. So we're here to discuss. Because there are two video games made by European studios, like two big ones out there, that just can't stop updating themselves, despite both teams being like, you know what, we're done with this. We're gonna wash our hands a little bit of this and then come back to it later. Maybe we'll revisit. Here's some DLC. Maybe like here's an update here or there to fix some of the shit. And you know what? We're planning another one, maybe. And that accolade goes to Larian Studios' Baldur's Gate 3, which I am terrified to replay now because they've changed apparently a lot about how that game rolls story-wise. I was like,
Yeah, you're not allowed to romance Karlak anymore. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But her ass real big.
No, unfortunately, they've actually restricted it, and now you can only romance Will. He's the only option.
Well,
Yeah.
I went with them before.
Oh, really? What's wrong with you?
What? No, Will.
Will.
Will sucks. I agree. no. My previous one in Baldur's Gate 3, my first run through was what's his name? Wizard guy. That's
Gale.
Gale, yeah. Because I wanted ultimate power. Because he promised if I was going to help him get to Mistra and get his shit back, he would also give me ultimate power, and then he didn't. So fuck him as well.
Yeah, all right. Anyways,
Anyway,
Cyberpunk.
In similar fashion, this is also a game about getting fucked over. Hardcore. But yeah, Cyberpunk's the other one that actually has the accolade of a game that will not quit. This game came out in 2020. Let us not forget that. And as of 2024, like October, November-ish, it has released patch 2.25, I think it is, to add and fix multiple things in the game.
Cleopatra 2525. It's clearly a reference.
It's not as far as I've seen.
Yeah.
Although you can wear bandages in this game. That's an option.
I don't think there's any bandages in Cleopatra 2525.
Kind of like bandagey things on like her arms.
Look, I never actually watched that. It looks bad, despite having Gina Torres.
It's not that bad. I most know the comic actually from Mike Mahick. So.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
I guess they're probably related. I have no idea.
They are totally 100% related. Look it up. I'll wait. As we sideline the actual topic.
No, you go ahead.
Anyway, so since Cyberpunk 2077 came out, I have since beaten it as of the last time that I did this episode. Did an episode about this topic. Now, I went back to it over the Christmas break in 2024, and I played the DLC, which I had a copy of from 2023, and I just never played it. I was just like, yeah, I'll get to that eventually. And I was like, I just don't want to boot up this again and try and figure out my character and blah, 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 all that stuff. Like, I was a net runner kind of thing and doing crazy quick hack wizardry shit. And it's like, that was really cool and all. I'm like, I just don't want to have to like go back and fuck around with that stuff. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I kind of like I watched a couple of things about Cyberpunk, and I was just like in the mood for it, so I booted it back up, and I was like, yeah, let's go. And I was immediately slammed with a hey fucko, time to redo your character. Because I got in the game and I was just like walking around. I was like walking like a fucking snail. I was like, what is happening? Why am I moving so slowly? This sucks. What's going on? So they redid all the cyberware. They redid all of the skill progression. They redid how everything works in the game. They basically overhauled almost everything the game had as of like the new patches for 2.2 whatever. They added vehicles that you could now like shoot from your vehicle. They had the option to actually have vehicles with guns mounted on them. All this stuff. You can change the color of vehicles. There are ways to bring your romances on dates to your apartments, etc. They added a metro system now. There's not just a fast travel bus system. You can actually go into metro like subways, and you can just.
That's actually pretty fun.
It's cool, and like you can actually like you can go in this system, and you can just instead of skipping it to like a fast travel thing to get to the next metro, you can hang out on the train and listen to conversations and it's interact with people. It is weird. And it's just like you get to kind of like make weird like train friends. It's insane. Yeah. So, needless to say, they've done a lot of work to this game. So by the time that I booted this back up to get into the Phantom Liberty DLC, I was met with not only did I have to retool my character, I was met with like, hey, we also bashed net running into something that is actually absolutely insane. Because you can stack effects onto people and like set up a queue of effects on them, and I'm like, oh, okay, and like, yeah, now everything's based off how you queue things and when and all this stuff, and I'm like, fuck. Luckily, I am no stranger to complex magic systems and that kind of stuff in video games and TTRPGs, so it didn't take me too long a day to figure out how to make this work. But I was met with this roadblock right away, and unfortunately it's a roadblock where like once you get back in the game, Songbird from the Phantom Liberty DLC calls you and she's like, yo, I heard you're like top merc in Night City right now. We need your help. I'm here with the president of the new United States of America. We are about to crash land in Night City. We need your help. And it's like, okay, cool, I will go help. So I drive to where I can help, and there's just a lot of bad guys with like yellow markers that indicate them as like, hey, you can kill them and no one will care.
In America? I don't know. Doesn't seem real.
Yeah, right. And I was like, you know what? I'll get some free experience here. That's a great idea. And then I was just decimated. It was awful. So it took me a long time to figure out what I was doing again. They also made the AI smarter, and they made enemy net runners way harder in this game. So basically what will happen is if you are a stealthy character who is like taking people out from the shadows or from a distance, and then also using net hacks, like your quick hacks, some of them can actually be like traced right away. So it's like, okay, if you do this one, that like blow that guy up with electricity, and then this one will like create like a cloud of like toxicity, this kind of stuff. That's great and all, but now the Netrunner knows where you're at. He's tracing you through the cameras and all this shit, so you gotta find him and fuck him up. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's like a weird cat and mouse thing now. And they've added this as a feature into the gameplay, which is really good and fun, but extremely jarring when you boot it back up. As someone who did not know this was going to be a thing, I kind of ignored most of the news about the game up until the point where I started trying to play it again.
Yeah, I mean, I never played the game, and I certainly heard people talking about, liking the updates and them improving it and blah, blah, blah. But I
Yeah.
feel like most of the time when people are talking about that, it was very technical about,
Yeah.
improving the frame rate, the loads, et cetera,
Yeah.
crashes, whatever it is.
Yeah,
It didn't
same.
feel like I heard or saw too much of people talking about the gameplay parts of it.
Yeah, a lot of what I heard about was just like, oh, now they're using this technology that's available from NVIDIA. And you can do this, this, and this, which makes it run smoother with also ray tracing activated in these ways. And it's like, oh, okay, that's... I don't care. But that's fascinating.
Like those were really, like, the crashing and stuff
Yeah.
were problems, although most of that really was just, like...
Yeah. Year one.
People on older consoles or on like lower end PCs at the time that like
Yeah.
not to say that like it's those people's fault. It's more so like CD Projekt's fault for not setting the minimum requirements a little bit higher.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like I think when I think about that game and the reasons why I looked at that and like why people disliked it, why people liked it, and why I went on the side of, I still don't think I'm really gonna get into this and play it is, I think one, I never really saw people getting too into the like main characters, for lack of a better term. We were talking about Baldur's Gate 3 earlier, and I just feel like I would see people lusting after characters.
Yes.
But I never really felt like I saw people talking about like, oh, so and so character, I would, swear my fealty to them and die for them. I pledge my cause, blah, kind of thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
I never got that out of it. And then also, it sounds like some of the stuff you were talking about earlier actually addresses it, where just hearing about some of the mission design and how in the day one release version, we'll call it, you could sort of, again, this is just my understanding from hearing other people, but it was a thing of, well, you have skill trees, and so, you could go more into hacking, or you could try and go more into stealth, but it sort of had that problem of like, it doesn't feel rewarding to go into any of them, is what I was heard of. Like, well, you could go into hacking, and that'll let you like hack your way through certain doors you otherwise wouldn't get.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like really reduce the amount of combat you have to do, or it doesn't let you like solve a mission in a very specific way of like, oh, well, because I was able to hack this, I could literally just skip all this combat stuff to get this password and go through this door. Or, hey, I'm going to go stealthy, and that's going to, like, let me get through this air vent that if I didn't have that skill, it would make noise, it would trigger the guards. And that's how I can, like, get past this certain section. Or, like, oh, because I went stealthy, I can, like, talk my way past this, like, door guy without triggering a bunch of the people and that. It just, a lot of the way people talked about it was just like, like 90% of the missions you just end up shooting everybody in a room.
That's
like
not...
You could try and spec a different way, but
I'll tell you this right now. Those people are dead wrong. Dead wrong. So I've played the game twice with the two different characters. My first character went through the entire game, stealthy, net hacker kind of thing. And this game has like all the gigs. There are some that will just degrade into firefights. A couple of them here or there, but for the most part, the main like side missions, the gigs, and the main missions, they do have options for stealth. All of them built in. They went full immersive sim on all this stuff. And I know this now because going from a stealthy character into being the loudest motherfucking character I could possibly play. Zero stealth. If there's a mission that where I can kill my way through it, I will kill my way through it. using a melee weapon at the top of that. So there's no, I'm not engaging with like a long distance fight. I'm getting up in there and I'm taking them out with a baseball bat, literally. And I'm like, that's the kind of gameplay that a lot of people have experienced, I bet. But like, if you just look around, if you know enough about how an immersive sim works and look a little bit, and like usually you're presented with, hey, here's a building where the bad guys are. I need you to steal this specific thing or kill this specific guy. Everything else is fair game. You don't have to engage with it as long as you do the main point. There's one I like specifically where you go into a Valentino's bar, and it's just like, hey, we need you to steal this information from this terminal, and we're not really sure where the terminal is, but you need to steal this information from this terminal, and don't get if you can engage it however you want to, but just we prefer if you don't get spotted. Cool.
Sorry, I roleplay as a law-abiding citizen, so I can't do that for you.
That'd be hilarious, Night City. Anyway, point is, in this mission, you can walk into the bar and be like, hey, I need to speak to your manager, and if you have enough cool points, you'll be like, yeah, you can schmooze your way in there. Or if you are more deadly, you can run and just kill everybody and grab the shit. But if you're playing as a stealthy character with very specific cyberware, like the double jump or the power spring legs, what you're able to do is walk around the building. You can see an open window. If you jump through into that window and take out the one guy guarding the terminal, you can just then download your shit and get out. Lickety split. It's
so how do you cyber double jump?
I'm not going to explain that. The science is beyond me. This takes place in 2077. I have no sweet clue how it would work.
Could they have just said like mini jetpack? It's like, it gives a short burst or something.
I honestly,
it's not actually a double jump. It's a jump and then a jetpack boost or something.
Yeah, like I expected when because here's the thing, the double jump is like the right choice for mobility options in the game because it's a double fucking jump. The spring legs are pretty good, but they're not as good as the double jump because you can like double jump and get like extra height or extra distance and that kind of stuff. Especially because they included now air dashing in the game. So yeah, which is not a cyberware perk. It's not a piece of cyberware that lets you do that. It is a perk in the reflex tree.
Hang on, spring legs, air dashing. Are you sure you're not playing a One Piece game by accident?
I'm not. I'll say.
All right. Wielding 3 swords.
Oh, you can only really wield one at a time, but you can equip 3 swords in 3 different slots. That's an option. And just cycle through them.
Wait, really? You could only wield 1 sword at a time?
At a time. Yeah, same with guns. You can't go akimbo. I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
I would have thought for sure they would let you do that.
Same. It's like, why can't I just... I want 2 pistols. So
it's probably some like technical reason of like, we tried and it breaks the game in a weird way, so deal with it.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that'd be the case. But so this game has full on, like, since day one, it's had like your immersive sim shit in it if you want to engage it that way, and if you don't, that's totally fine. Like I said, there are multiple ways to play this game. My complaint comes down to the gunplay has never felt all that good in this game, personally. The guns feel pretty okay to shoot, and they sound nice. But when it comes to like shooting guys, it is still an RPG, and you get numbers, and you gotta like wait until one headshot's not going to do it, right? That kind of thing. Which makes
I mean, I don't think there's a single like what we'll say is true RPG that has fun or good gameplay. Like in Borderlands, it works, but that's barely an RPG.
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it makes more sense in Cyberpunk to me personally because there are guys who like if they are armored up like crazy via cyberware, one shot to the dome isn't gonna kill them. I get it. Like, that makes sense. And you can tell those people from a distance if they have that kind of technology. But most of the dudes you encounter don't have that. And just kind of getting sick of RPG shooters like this. That's more of a general complaint about video games as a whole, though, not specifically about this one.
Yeah, I mean, Fallout has the same problem where you're like, wow, the shooting in this game feels bad because I literally target this person.
Yep.
Like, reticle, dead center on the chest, I pull a trigger, and it's like, you miss.
You missed him. What
are you talking about, game? I definitely didn't.
I put the barrel into his chest and pulled the trigger, sir. What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, nah, too bad you missed.
Bad, missed
this sucks. And
all right. Cool.
Yeah, like that's always going to be a problem, right? In order to make it feel actual RPG and reward, because like otherwise. On the other side of it, it would be like, oh, this is an RPG, but because as long as you just aim the gun well, none of the RPG parts matter.
Exactly.
Like, you can just one-shot every opponent as long as your aim's good.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that's kind of,
click,
why bother with any skills, I guess?
You click on heads, don't you? Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Shit like that. I agree. Like, I just wish there was a balance to it, like less of every enemy feeling like a bullet sponge when it comes to shooting them. Because here's the other big thing. Because I went full on melee combat and using a baseball bat, I down guys in one hit. In one strong attack, I can leap, and this is honestly my favorite thing to do in this game now. The net hacking shit and net running stuff is really cool. Quick hacks are awesome. It's great to just kind of lay waste in a pile of guys and be like, fuck yeah, I did that in 2 seconds. But what's really fun in this game is leaping your ass Superman style through the air, charging up a strong attack, and killing 3 guys in one hit, and then dashing the other guy, knocking them out, dash, knock. Because for whatever reason, the melee weapons, they have extra power to them to down the mooks in one hit, as opposed to a gun that doesn't do it. The only ones you can't do that to are the mini bosses or bosses where they require multiple hits. Again, that makes sense. Armor, etc. So, I mean, this is more of a complaint, like I said, about these games in general. It's cool that you reward me for going full melee with the ability to just wholesale slaughter people with a baseball bat in one hit each. That's awesome. Especially because when you go fully into the body tree, you get certain moves that let you do finishers, and your hits definitely make them go flying a lot more. And you get a finisher where you can pick them up and just hurl them through the air, and it's that's a lot of fun. There's a lot of really fun, engaging combat there. So it's the game is tailor made for you to just almost ignore the guns, even though there's a lot of them, and most people are gonna want to pick up a gun and use that. Because most of the guns feel okay at best, but your chosen playstyle of going melee or netrunner, those are the 2 iconic ways to play this game to me, because they feel the best to play, which is absolutely hilarious when you're going into going full melee into just a hellhole shootout kind of situation. Yeah, so like I said, they've done a lot of work to this game to make this more viable. The skill trees are more interesting. They're deeper. There's more depth to them by a large margin. They were much simpler before. And they've also done things to give you extra augments onto your cyberware and guns and that kind of stuff that lets them do more Borderlands-y stuff. Not totally in that direction, but close.
In what sense?
Elemental damage, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elemental bullets, those things we have.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sure, it's in 2077. We might have that by that point.
Tristan, I got some news for you.
What?
There's no point in history where we're ever going to have bullets that can also deal ice damage.
Fair. I mean, we do have, there are shotgun rounds that do deal, fire damage. Dragon's Breath is a thing, so.
Sure.
Yeah. So we have some stuff, but, incendiary is a whole different bag of worms, because, Incendiary.
A bullet works by incendiary by nature.
Yeah, exactly. Like incendiary is very easy to do, as opposed to here's a bullet that makes them freeze. And so, or here's a bullet that like when it hits them, it poisons them. And it's like, I don't care if they're poisoned.
Yeah, the bullet's supposed to kill. I don't need it to poison as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Redundant.
We're very redundant. It's just like you're not going to really need that. Realistically, in real life, you would assume. I guess until we start getting cyberware and becoming beefed up monsters that require poison damage over time to kill us. I don't know. Anyway, so as I'm playing this game, like I said, I went and played the DLC, which is like the main draw for why I got back into playing Cyberpunk 2077. And the DLC, honestly, they did a really smart thing, because if you don't really want to engage a whole lot with like the main story of like V getting cyber implant brain cancer and having to fucking deal with their life choices and trying to navigate like the rest of the game, because it's like a 70-hour game plus on top of everything else. If you want to skip right to the DLC and like, hey, I heard that Phantom Liberty stuff was like a lot of fun, like a really cool spy story, well, you are correct. And they give you the option when you start a new character to skip right to the good stuff if you want to. You can select, hey, I want to go from the beginning, or get you ready for Phantom Liberty. And it just dumps you a bunch of points and goes like, have at it. Make your character however you want to. And then it puts you basically in whatever area is closer to Dogtown where the DLC happens. And yeah, the DLC has a lot of really cool points. Phantom Liberty, I have to say, is a great reason to play this game. It's an excellent spy story. Right into like, so you get kind of drafted into the FIA, which is essentially like the new version of the CIA. And because you are there to help, like you're a mercenary there to help the president of the new United States of America escape this, aircraft crash. And you try to figure out, who did this, and there's a mystery involved. You have to kind of like get back with these previously
commies,
burned agents.
They hate America.
Well, I mean, communists kind of, but not really. It's a thing.
Yeah. I do have to say, I wonder how CD Projekt feel about the money spent on Idris Elba for this, because the Keanu Reeves thing definitely paid off.
Yeah, I gotta say, Keanu Reeves it's like the best part of these games. This game.
Well, I just mean the sense of who knows how much they had to pay for him to be in it, but just from a purely marketing perspective, but even like post-game launch, you still see people posting memes of him or art of him from the game, etc.
Wake up, samurai!
Like, Idris Elba probably helped with some of the marketing. Definitely feel like saw people talking about that. But from the second that came out, I have never once seen anyone talking about him specifically being in it. I haven't seen like a single piece of fan art or anything like that, right? Like I feel like if I go on AO3, that's where all the kids are these days for their fan fiction, and I search Johnny Silverhands, there's gonna be a bunch of stuff that comes up. But whatever Idris Elba character name is in this, I feel like it would be close to nothing. So I wonder how CD Projekt feels if it's like, oh, it turns out, hey, we could have saved a bunch of money and not bothered putting a celebrity in this and selling that as if that was a big deal.
I mean, it's because first off, Idris Elba is in this, but he's not in this enough to really. Okay, so Keanu Reeves is very in this game. He's in your brain, and he just shows up randomly in a lot of this stuff. and not even like randomly
You're
as
talking
like
about this game and not your Shadow the Hedgehog fantasies, right?
no, talk about both.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Continue.
Anyway, so in Cyberpunk 2077, Keanu Reeves is extremely in it. Like, at every possible moment they can put Johnny Silverhand in this game, they do. Because Johnny Silverhand is fucking awesome. He sucks so much, but he's great. Because he's a perfect foil. Because, like, it's a thing where Johnny Silverhand is terrible at making decisions. And he tries to influence your decisions because, like, oh, he plays himself off as the, like, veteran merc, veteran terrorist kind of guy who's been through all this shit before. So what will happen is he'll walk around in the background and like, V, just tell him this and do this. And you're like, oh yeah, John, it's a great idea. And it's always the worst choice because he's terrible at that. Because it's an arrogant prick who just wants to get shit over with. Meanwhile, you're trying to like navigate through like nuance and shit. Anyway, he's so in this game, he'll just pop up at random. You'll have full conversations with him all the time. They have a thing now where like when you're driving, he'll just show up in your passenger seat and just like comment on your driving. Stuff like that. Whoa, slow down there, Speedy Gonzalez. Shit like that. But Idris Elba playing, I can't remember his first name. It's Reed. Something Reed.
Oh, no idea. I thought you actually meant Idris Elba, and I was like, his first name is Idris, you idiot.
No. In the game. Yeah, Idris Elba's name is something Reed in the game. Anyway, he is good. Like Idris Elba brings his A game for this. He's a really excellent character. However, he's there mostly as mission briefing and then occasionally as like a character who will follow you and like do some shooting with you. And he kind of like
he's the president, right?
No, he's not.
Oh.
He's a spy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they have no excuse for not having more of him. Because I was about to say, weird that the president's doing a bunch of shooting, but yeah, if he's just a spy, then...
Yeah, Reed's... Yeah, basically the president is like... So, again, we're following the movie logic of, like, it's the future when there's a female president.
Oh my god, I can't believe they went DI woke.
They did, yes.
Thank God The Witcher is all about men, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, sure.
Can't make the past woke.
Solomon Reed is his character. Yeah, Solomon Reed, which is too bad.
It's a little too try-hardy a name.
It is, I agree. However, it's too bad because, like, here's the thing. Everybody who knows Cyberpunk in the TTRPG setting, so there's this character who kind of, like, shows up periodically and disappears and reappears throughout the history of the Cyberpunk world, of Night City. And his name is Morgan Blackhand. And, like, it's pretty much expressly stated that this guy is basically what looks like Idris Elba. Like, straight up. And it's just like, okay, is Idris Elba playing Morgan Blackhand? Because that would be fucking awesome. And would be a very nice little treat for people who are into the TTRPG, because this guy permeates a lot of the like lore and fiction and some like the pre-written material for playing those games. And like, yeah, he's sometimes just there. Sometimes you interact with Morgan Blackhand, and he's fucking cool because he just shows up and is just a badass. And I'm like, is that Idris Elba? And like, no, unfortunately, he's playing Solomon Reed. Which is like, yeah, okay, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a different character. But, like, the problem is he walks in when you first see him, and he is basically decked out like Morgan fucking Blackhand.
All right.
Except for the black hand. And it's like, come on.
Wait, why not the black hand?
Well, he doesn't have the prosthetic for it.
Yeah, but, like, you could... Oh, cosplay it.
Yeah, true. You could. Yeah, he doesn't have that on.
I assume cosplay exists in 2077.
Oh yeah. There's a whole thing. Okay, cosplay exists even more so. Okay. Let's talk about the DLC a little bit more because, like, so in one of the missions, I can't remember what the mission's called, but you find a small studio that is used for like brain dance experiences. Brain dance is basically like a VR headset that just it beams the experience directly into your brain, so you fully relive it. It can be anything. But we find two guys. One of them has his friend locked up in the basement in like this glass booth because his friend will not stop imitating this woman BD star who does these like crazy fucking stunts and just like kills people and all this shit. Like she's a solo.
It's not where I saw that going.
Yeah. But like he loves her. Like this guy's like he loves her and he kind of found himself like this kind of like found himself as a person after getting really into her brain dances and really idolizes her, but went too deep and got his brain fried, and now he thinks he is her. So in this mission, you have to kind of convince her to talk to him, and she's not going to do that for any good reason. So you have to kind of convince her you are a producer and try and get them to meet up so that essentially she can kind of like break him out of it. But it doesn't work. So you have to be like, idiot, you're just blocked in your own brain, stupid. Come on. You like slap him around a little bit. He's like, oh, okay, fine. Yeah. And you get him out of it. It's a stupid. Really,
that's how therapy works.
Therapy works. Like even the character's like, that shouldn't have worked. We should like, you need therapy, etc. It's a good take on that. So that's one of the things you can do. There's one where there's an excellent one, a side mission in the DLC, in which you infiltrate a sports stadium. How can I put this? Not a stadium per se, but a sports agency. And what they are doing is they are bringing up young, new, upcoming, awesome sports stars. But they're like between the ages of like usually 8 and 15. And the way they're really helping them out is by already ripping apart their limbs and putting cybernetic implants in them.
Helping is a word.
Yeah.
I would not use.
Yeah. So basically you get into this gig and like Mr. Hands is the guy that gives you the gig, and he's like this.
Huh?
Yeah, Mr. Hands is awesome.
Gonna clip that bite and use that for nefarious things.
Mr. Hands put his hands all over me.
No, Mr. Hands doesn't have hands is the thing.
Yeah, well, he does now. Anyway, Mr. Hands is a real person in the game. And yeah, he basically gets you on this gig. And he's like, yeah, just do whatever. He's very non-committal as to like how you do these things. He just wants it done. He's very business focused, I guess. But he, when you get there, you are immediately brought down. If you pose yourself as like a potential agent or buyer or whatever for a sports team, when you get there, the game's like, okay, and now we're introducing like Maria Perales, 10 years old, soccer star, and she like kicks a ball and like shatters the fucking like bulletproof glass and like all this stuff, and it's like okay, they're doing some shit here, and then you start finding out like they are cybernetically enhancing these kids and all this stuff, and then you can just the point is to get to the leader of this agency's terminal and steal her data, and basically like you can use that to sell that to other agencies who want to do the same thing, or you can shut the whole thing down. There's only one good option, realistically. But yeah,
assume you chose not to shut it down, though.
Yeah, I sold all the information and made a mint. Yeah.
Yeah, so I figured.
Oh, shut it down. Yeah, no, because you find this young boy in the the person in the agency's like office, just kind of playing and waiting for her, and you're like talking to this guy. His name is Tommy and everything. He's like 8 years old, and he's gonna be a baseball star. And it's like, that's nice, Tommy. You're just like in the middle of stealing the data. You got like your jack into the computer. You're like, oh yeah, that's great, Tommy. And you see her walking into the office, like, oh, I gotta kill her now. Fuck. You have to like basically, you can cut a deal. You can do like, there's so many ways to end this side gig that like it's a wonderfully made one. It's like the atmosphere is perfect. The writing is really good. It's a little like ham-fisted, but like it works. It works really well. Yeah. So this game, especially the DLC, like I said, they took what they learned from the base game and just made it better. They did more to it. They just tooled things in the right way. They thought about the way the missions were written, a lot of the way the things were worded. Like Dogtown itself is a very interesting piece of Night City because it's more flat. In lower terms, Dogtown is supposed to be attached to Pacifica, and these two spots in terms of like the TTRPG are what's referred to as in Cyberpunk 2020 and Cyberpunk Red as the combat zone, where if you live here, you are fucked. You don't live in the combat zone, but some people do because you have to. And this is like free fire. You gotta buy a gun. You gotta make sure you are ready to fight at all times. Because like even if you just live here like a normal person, you might just get got one day for no reason at all. It's a bad place to live. And Dogtown is specifically like the part of the combat zone. But they didn't want to just call it the combat zone. And so they call it Dogtown. Yeah. This definitely harkens back to like a lot of that stuff. And I think that the way they have written Dogtown as a place is like some of the better like cyberpunk writing that they have done, like as a genre. They've done some really good stuff. Like there's a great mission in the in the base game in which you have to investigate why the guy who is running for mayor is having all these like weird problems with his brain and that kind of stuff, and that gets into some really scary like NSA shit. So there's that. But yeah, going to Dogtown is like that's truly low life high tech. Like that's 100% it.
Yeah, that's one of those things I'll be curious about what like how that's going to work, because there's sort of this thing in video games where the like first attempt, let's say, at a video game by most studios is rarely the like success across the board, we'll say. So if we think about like Larian, right, they've talked about it of like, well, the reason that we were able to make Baldur's Gate 3 this just massive hit is like, well, we had like all those previous games like Divinity and the other games that they they also did other, I forget the names of some of their other games, but they spend all the time building up getting there. If I think about say like Naughty Dog, where it's like that's a studio that has a long history, but it's like it's really they had those Uncharted games to build their writing chops to then do something like a Last of Us. And so I have to wonder with CD Projekt where a lot of the complaints about, I think, the writing and characters just come from the fact that, hey, their previous games, the Witcher series, very different, tone and very different setting, very different ways that you kind of create an immersive world through it.
Yeah.
And so I have to wonder of like, all right, well, they took a bit of a beating. They obviously did all this work with DLC, expansions, etc., to improve it. But then they've gone back to working on The Witcher, and that next game isn't going. I mean, they didn't even put a date on the trailer they had at the Game Awards. So I think, hey, if that doesn't have any kind of a date on it, that thing's probably not out until 2026 at the earliest.
I would say 2027, 2028, maybe.
I mean, I don't want to predict too far in the future, just because you never know. Like, maybe they didn't put a date on it because it's like, hey, if we think we could do late 2025, but we don't want to put a date because, that's still a year away. Something, hey, some of these bugs, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But, just kind of looking at that and going, and like, when did the Liberty City stuff come out? It was October last year, something like that. And that's sort of
It was 2023. I think it was March
or April. 2023?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe there was something like October last year then that was sort of them
that was the big
saying
update.
Like, okay.
Yeah,
that was sort of them
2.1.
saying, this is going to be the final real update we made.
And they lied to us because then 2.2 came out a month later.
But I think like 2.2, it's not like, I could be wrong, but I think that didn't add like story content, anything like that, right?
No.
It was
a
hey,
big old
there
fix.
might still be, like gameplay tweaks, bug fix, etc. But like we finished, developing the game, let's say.
Yeah, there's still a few bugs needed to fix. Just FYI.
So like, okay, they've definitely had people working on it up until 2024. So
yeah.
But then, like, how much damage does, again, if The Witcher's not out until 2026, and then you have to, with how long game development takes these days for these big AAA games, if they do, and I look, I don't pay enough attention to know if they've said they're going to do another Cyberpunk or what, but okay,
like Cyberpunk Orion,
it's like when's potentially next Cyberpunk? Like 2032, 33? And so it's just, I have to wonder if some massive gap like that kind of resets that clock in a way that we haven't, say, previously seen, where like kind of getting to my initial point of, well, it used to be a studio would put out a game, they would learn a ton of stuff about the game, but have these problems, and then they would do the second, and that's when they really hit the ground running, and they're just firing on all cylinders. Like, I'm thinking Mass Effect 2, and I just wonder with CD Projekt, are they going to be able to do that, or is it because, hey, they're going off and doing The Witcher in between, and with how long game cycles are, that when they go back to that and they start on Cyberpunk 2078 or whatever it's called, is it going to be a like, hey, some of those problems, some of the like issues that feel like, oh, you look at it and go, well, yeah, it's this team's first time making a game like this. Are those still going to be there because it's like, oh, well, the person who worked on that thing in 2023 left like before this project even started, because hey, we were then working on The Witcher 4 for 6 years. And they left, and now a lot of that institutional knowledge is gone. Whereas like, hey, if you back in the day when you immediately went from your first game to your second game was out within 2, maybe 3 years at most. Like Arkham,
because you already knew
those games. Like, you used to be able to get those sequels out quickly, and I wonder, hey, is a Cyberpunk sequel going to be capable of taking all these lessons, all these improvements, and have them from the word go? Or is it going to be a repeat of this first one? And rocky at first.
Okay, so a couple things. There are still bugs that I encounter frequently in this game. One of which I cannot go back to my original apartment. It will crash the game. Hard crash every
Tristan,
time I attempt to go home.
Tristan, you were just evicted. That's all.
No, I was not.
Yeah, you're just not allowed in. That's all.
It's not a thing.
Eviction in Cyberpunk?
Well, I mean,
buddy.
not for me anyway. I'm very rich. I've done a lot of merc work. Anyway, there's that, and there's also one where if you're playing with a controller, I think this might be exclusive to the PlayStation 4 controller, which I use because I prefer.
Would not surprise me.
I prefer this controller over the Xbox controller. I just like it more. But a PS4 controller now works with the majority of games out there. I have yet to find one that just flat out hated it. So, and if it hates that controller, that game will also hate the Xbox controller too. So it's fine. But there's a problem where if you're using a controller and you click in both sticks at the same time, doesn't like that, crashes the game.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying the game is perfect now.
Absolutely not.
Less like technical issues like that, and I more so mean, some of the writing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Things rewarding.
I know what you're actually saying. Yes. So here's the thing. I think that there's a good chance that when they get more people on the next game, the good news is that if it's supposedly going to still take place in Night City and the surrounding area. Which means that they're still going to do stuff with that city, so they can reuse all those assets. That's part one.
I bet they don't.
They might.
They should. I bet they don't, though.
Well, here's the thing: the city they built is extremely good. It is a very hostile city. It's hard to get around in. It's even hard to drive around in. Sometimes your better bet is to walk places and jump around because it's faster than driving because of the way things are laid out. It's crazy. And I think at this point it would do them a disservice if they don't keep most of that city, and I'm assuming they will retool a lot of it and put new stuff in there and change a few things and all that stuff. That makes perfect sense. But if it's set in Night City and they don't use the majority of what they have, I think they are doing them and the fans a disservice in a sense. Just because they've made a very iconic city. It really works, especially for what they're going for.
Yeah, I'm thinking of this game is big, it's popular, it appeals to a non-specific audience, right? It's the general public.
Yeah.
And thinking about, that crowd, if it's the same kind of map layout, buildings all in the same places and that sort of thing, even if they redo everything, I think even just that, when you're talking to the general public, too many people go, wow, then why would I bother playing it? It's just the same game again. No, you idiot. That's not how that works. But when you're talking to that general public,
fair.
Basically they play COD, maybe Madden, and one other game a year. Well,
they're then very much used
to an audience that
you're talking to an audience that is very much used to just map updates because.
Yes and no, right?
Roster update 2029. Yeah. I hear you. I understand. But yeah, it's you were correct. It's a harder sell if you're like, hey, there's more of the same here. And they go nothing new. You say same city. I want to see more. But that said, though, I think that Insomniac sold 3 Spider-Man games all set in New York, so I mean, I'm just saying that's maybe not as hard of a sell as possible as you think it is. Yeah, maybe. Actually, I just realized something. I didn't address the reason why with Idris Elba why him in it doesn't really matter as much, and I just kind of glanced over it. It's because the other spy character in the game, like the other like side of this whole thing, Songbird, she's way better than Solomon Reed. She plays this femme fatale. She's the one who calls you on the mission, but then also like 100% is like playing multiple sides, and just because she, like you, kind of is burning out real fast. Like her body is about to collapse, and she has essentially like very little time left to live, and she knows about your problem and is playing you to like help her get her problem solved. And then when you do that, and she promises you like, "Oh, I'll solve yours too. I know about the Ingram and Johnny Silverhand and all this shit." And then she's like, "I'm gonna fuck off his space. Screw you." Like, oh, okay. Except for the fact that she doesn't say that, because you actually put her on a space plane yourself, and it's the whole thing. Yeah, but Songbird is really good in this game, and she is more of a character than Solomon Reed is, unfortunately. Whereas he's just kind of there to like talk you through a few things, and then also like be an angel or devil on your shoulder at certain points. Like she is definitely more of a well-written character. Songbird is. So yeah, I think that's the reason why like Solomon Reed as a character does not really matter, and why Idris Elba was kind of a waste, even though like he's really good in this game. It wasn't totally necessary to get a celebrity for this. But yeah, I think with that lesson learned, that like hopefully going into Cyberpunk Orion, that they are going to do something different, and like they've learned lessons and new tools from this original game. Hopefully they keep a lot of the same team as developers intact, because like that's something that's more that's more something we're talking about these days as in terms of video games, because back in the day you didn't just get rid of your team if their previous game got fucking like didn't sell too well. You then go like, okay, our next game is gonna be this, and then you have all this knowledge moving forward on how to make a better game. So let's go again, and then if you still suck, we'll talk about that point. But
yeah,
like,
I mean, even like one thing that, even if your game is good and a success, a thing you hear out of people is just like, it's still hard to keep teams together.
It is, yes.
So when games take 6-7 years to make,
yep.
Okay, well, I just got off 6 years making a, just gonna make something up, but like, South American fantasy magic game. Do I want to spend another 6 years making a game like that? Mm-hmm. Or do I want to potentially look at going to another studio and getting to make something else, right? Or like...
Oh, fair, yeah.
Hey, maybe I want to...
Yeah. If it is a personal choice of that developer then to move on to a different studio, absolutely, yes. It's a whole different...
Yeah, but like that's something that is also... Even games that are successes, even games that are made well, like that's something you're hearing is that, well, a lot of people just like, 6 to 7 years is a big commitment of your life. Yes. And so, when you're looking at that stuff, 2 back-to-back games, 12 to 14 years of your life just on this one type of game, you kind of understand why a lot of developers are going like, hey, I finished that game, but now I want to do something else. I don't want to spend 14 years of my life just doing, cyberpunk kind of games. I want to do other aesthetics and styles.
I want to make a Balatro as well. I want to make $1 million.
Yeah.
By the way, there's Balatro in Cyberpunk too. So that went both ways, because you can change your cards in Balatro to look like Cyberpunk, Kings and Queens and Jacks. And same with them in Cyberpunk. There's actually side missions where you have to find Balatro Jokers. Yeah, right. It's kind of a cool idea. fun little collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should start wrapping up, but do you have any last points or any last things you want to say about the second best piece of future media after Sherlock Holmes of the 22nd century?
Well, first things first, like, they have changed this game to such a degree where I think that, like, if you didn't appeal to you before, I think maybe now is the time to give it a shot, because they've done some heavy work on it to make this into like a much better game. And I thought before, when I talked about this game in 2023 or 2022, whatever it was, like when I said like, hey, Cyberpunk is now actually good, go and play this. I thought that was the point where you should. I think now is the best time you possibly can. At this point, maybe they'll make the game even better come 2 years more from now. But like whatever. Right now, this game is it's very, very good. It's excellent. The writing is still awesome. There's no problems there. And then like they've just changed the systems to make it more friendly. They've made this game. They've made your choices character-wise matter a lot more. Your cybernetics can be upgraded further beyond just like the like iconic tier, all this stuff where like you actually now have more reasons to do crafting if you want to engage with that. If you want to just slap on more upgrades, go for it. Who cares? They have now included like a miniature progression tree as opposed to just XP. You have XP as well, but then on top of that, they have things where like, hey, if you do a lot of like running and jumping and zipping around, you get shinobi points, and that'll give you like extra upgrades for like perk points and that kind of stuff. Congratulations. Things like that. There's a lot more to this game than there was a few years ago, and like it's hard to even get into how deep that goes, because I don't know if I've even seen every little bit of how much more this game has to offer. Like, it's even just simple stuff like now, like the car radio stations, you can just play them while walking around, because why wouldn't you be able to do it in the first place? Because a lot of people just avoided vehicles in this game because they sucked before. They overhauled those. They work better now. And, like, nobody listened to the radio stations. There's a lot of really good fucking music that they chose for this game. So, like, maybe give that a shot now. Like, yeah, their radio stations are really good.
I'm sorry, but the idea that radio stations are still around in 2077, I'm going to have to give this a game a 0 out of 10. The realism is terrible, unplayable, quite frankly.
Unplayable. There's radio stations? Bullshit. Fuck this game.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But that's all I have to say. This game is excellent. Go play it.
Fair enough. Well, why don't you people
What do you mean, you people? What are you saying, Hassan?
I'm saying that people with weird robot implants aren't actually people.
Oh, that's fair. We aren't.
Yeah.
What? Oh, also Songbird. Reason why Songbird is really good is because, like, in there's a Netrunner version of her. She projects like a ghost version of her herself to you, and it's like she's like this like cool bomber jacket wearing like lady, and like a skin tight like jumpsuit with a bomber jacket over it. But when you see her in real life, she looks like fucking RoboCop, like full on headpiece.
Oh, okay,
like,
all right.
Like holy shit.
Hell yeah.
And when you first see her like that, she's in like a slinky little like night dress, and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with your character? Anyway,
no, I'm into sexy RoboCop. Tell me more.
We all are. This is also why Songbird's the best character. Anyway, go to our Blue Sky, which is at EIFNAR. Go there and yell at us about how much you really enjoy Cyberpunk 2077. Now, not before though. Go to our iTunes, Spotify pages, follow us, click buttons, go to YouTube, click more buttons, and then basically do that until you get your account banned. Yeah.
Probably won't happen.
Takes
a lot these days to get you banned.
That I assume as much.
A lot.
A lot. Also tell your friends about our show. if you like this stuff, give us a shout out. You know, it's just word of mouth goes a long way. Yeah. Go to our friend search DJDane.com. That's the guy that does our music. DJDane.com. And just like the scavs do in this game, just force him to get a bunch of that's not scavs, it's Maelstrom, like the Maelstrom do in this game, force him to get a bunch of cybernetic implants at the barrel of a gun.
He'll love it. Don't worry about it.
He will love that, yeah. Whole new face. I mean, like, just a big piece of metal sticking out of his face, like, this far out.
Yeah, RoboCop it.
RoboCop it, yeah. Fangs.
What we all dream about.
One weird loppy cybernetic arm that doesn't quite work. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Maelstrom, baby.
He asked for it, so...
He asked for it? Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, that is it for our show. Tune in next time for El Campane episode of X-Files Ruins. See ya.
See ya.
Say it.